Welcome into the Stack Shack podcast. My name is Nathaniel, and we've got a jam-packed episode here today. Let's just jump straight into Book of Boba. We've been talking about every single episode. Gabe, I know there's been some controversy in this episode because of a scene. We'll get to that, I'm sure. But what did you think overall of our episode this week?
I enjoyed it. It took a very different twist than I was expecting, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was expecting the Hutts to be a bit more of a force in this series. I guess they still could be,
Yeah.
but they kind of just like, oh, here's a villain, we're gonna pull him back. Felt a little weird. So
Yeah. Yeah, it might
uh,
be one they bring back around, but I would agree. I expected us, like, we get introduced to them at the very end of last episode, and then this episode they're like, and we're out. See ya. We're going back to Hutta. Okay.
deuces.
Interesting.
Yeah. I I haven't heard anything about this episode. I haven't looked at anything. I haven't been doing that with any of Book of Boba Fett, so because I just my own opinions. So
Yes, same.
what is the? I have a
Well,
guess in mind, but what is the controversy
the
here?
controversial scene that I've been hearing a lot of people talk about, and that friends and have reached out to me about,
The
is,
resident Star Wars nerd.
yeah, I guess so, is that chase scene we got. Um,
Okay.
Let me start with overall thoughts, and then I'll jump into what I think about that chase scene. Um, Overall, I agree with you. I really liked it. I'm interested in more of the Pikes. I was devastated with what happened to the Tuscans.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
and like you said, I was expecting more from the Hutts, but they might be coming back around. Who knows who's really pulling the strings behind all of this? I like that they're keeping us guessing with who's in charge and who's really the antagonist.
Mhm.
With, like, the mayor not being there, and then we have this at the end. We have the Pikes showing up, which the Pikes are
Yeah,
cool. I loved them in
in the pipe.
our Clone Wars era stuff. We got a little look at them, and they're a formidable foe for sure, and I'm excited to see more of that. And like we talked last week about it, it's feeling like a mob movie, and it is. It's kind of feeling like a mob movie, and I love that. Um, the chasing. I think it was even Stupendous Wave, a legend in the Star Wars community, tweeted out that chase scene was awful. Um, so, it did get some conversations started in the Star Wars community of what the heck happened with this chase scene. Um,
Yeah, that was my guess. It was
I
either that or the fight scene with the I can't remember
the
the Wookiee's name
Gladiator.
now. Yeah, but when he,
We'll just say the Gladiator for now.
yeah, the gladiator.
See, I actually really, so I'm glad you brought that up. I really liked the fight scene with the Gladiator. Um, I thought it was solid. I thought it was good. Wookiees are terrifying, and I like that we got that. Um, but to then kind of shortly after, we're gonna jump to this chase scene. I was very disappointed with it. It felt to me, well, first of all, everybody looked like they were going about 2 miles an hour. It it felt super slow, like, as far as their speed. They're on speeder bikes and they're going
Yeah,
really slow.
like
Um
back episode 6 on the Forest Moon of Endor, that felt much more like a chase scene than this.
yes, exactly. This felt, I don't even know. It just didn't look right. It didn't feel fast. It felt like I could have run and caught up to everybody. Um it didn't have a lot going on in the scene. It didn't land well for me. Um Not to say that it ruined the episode, because I think both of us really enjoyed the episode as a whole, but it was a low point and a point where I just don't know what happened we just finished talking last episode about how much we loved that train chase scene, and that scene was just so well done. And then all of a sudden, we've got this scene, and it just didn't land well. Um, you know,
Especially when we know that, like, within the production, like, Star Wars shows have hit these types of scenes
they seem to
consistently.
be, yeah, it doesn't seem to be a budget issue, right? That's the one explanation you might come up with is like, yeah, it's a TV show, they don't have the budget for the big special effects, but they just did it in the episode before, and we've seen chase scenes in Mandalorian feel much better. i
Exactly.
i don't know, I don't think you can use that out. Something went wrong, and it just didn't
Yeah.
feel fast. um and it didn't feel intense. It just kind of, I don't know. I was a little bored watching it. It kind of
You
dragged
know,
on to me. It was like,
kind of
oh, they're
felt
running
like,
into stuff. Okay, yeah, it didn't have a lot of urgency.
yeah, I kind of got the feeling like they're okay. We need to have our new gang of Boba's minions do something,
Yeah,
uh, and then they just kind of hodgepodge it together at the end.
yeah, yeah. Now, what did you
I don't
think
know.
of Boba's new minions? What do you think of them?
I have some mixed feelings about them.
Okay.
Uh, I like how they were wrangled into being his crew. I like how
Mm-hmm.
he's just kind of, no, you guys don't have work. Work for me.
Yeah.
You guys seem strong. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
You stood up to me. Yeah, that's respect
And
already.
you're annoying
Uh,
this other guy, so obviously you can cause
yeah,
some mayhem.
like let me go annoy him too. Let's go. Uh,
Yeah.
I like that. I think their overall aesthetic is cool. The guy with the eye implant,
Mm-hmm.
I that's sick. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think the concept of just the droid bionics is cool.
Yeah.
They just don't have a there. While I like the aesthetic, it doesn't feel like a Star Wars aesthetic, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay.
They just are very out. They stand out very much. Like, okay, they're dirty street rats, but their clothes are pristine.
Yeah.
Let's let's jump people on Tatooine and wear the most standout colors possible.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It I don't know. That's my biggest complaint with them, I think. Is
Mhm.
they just don't feel like Star Wars characters, but I'm hoping that that changes.
Yeah. I think I would agree with you. For me, um I agree. I like how they were roped in, how they got brought into Boba. I think that made sense. I think it makes sense storyline wise, right, to have Boba recruit some of the young people in the town to cuz he doesn't have any soldiers, right? Right now he needs to load up on
These people.
some men of arms and women of arms and uh, cyborgs of arms, I guess. He needs some firepower, and they provide that. So that made sense as far as the storyline and characters go for them to want to work together and for that to be a situation that Boba's in. I'm not happy with the character design. To me, they look very out of place. Um, I think it's a cool idea to have, right? They use droid parts. They, you know, to try and enhance themselves. That makes sense. Yeah, I could see how that would happen in Star Wars. But like you said, to me, it's they look too shiny, too clean.
Yeah,
And that's something that Star Wars has always been a quote unquote dirty sci-fi, not in the fact that it's like inappropriate type dirty, but um
grimy.
grimy, rusted, beat up, dented. Um and that's, I
Yeah,
think, that's an aesthetic that really separated Star Wars from most other sci-fi. Most sci-fi is very shiny, it's very futuristic, whereas Star Wars felt old, it felt worn. And I think that was something that was so captivating to the early audiences, as a different take on the sci-fi genre. And so when I saw them, they just looked too shiny and new to me. Especially their speeder bikes. Like,
yeah,
now, what I will say is we've seen them on screen for a very short amount of time. Okay. Um I want to reserve judgment on that was a bad character design until I've gotten to sit with it in Star Wars because it is new.
Mhm.
Um, it's not one of those things that like breaks canon or something where I'd get really upset about it. Uh, it could fit. It just isn't something I thought would fit. So I think I'm gonna reserve judgment on their character design until we get to know them a little better. Um, and maybe we we get a better feel for them. But even their speeder bikes, they're bright colors, they're super shiny. And it just felt out of place. It didn't
Well,
feel like Star Wars speeder bikes.
the funniest thing to me is how they have these like to me it looked like a like 70s style
Yeah,
like like speed like you got the winged headlights on the car, like not headlights,
exactly.
tail lights.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like, that those colors. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have the most like cyberpunk goth aesthetic crew possible. Like even their speeder bikes don't match their style.
Exactly, exactly. And
Oh.
it felt like maybe it would be a situation where if it was like one or the other, like if everything was cyberpunk goth looking, it might fit a little better to me.
Even
Um
that still doesn't feel like Star Wars though.
that's true. Exactly.
Um,
It's not an aesthetic I dislike. Like I enjoy cyberpunk goth aesthetic, but it didn't to me it didn't fit in Star Wars.
yeah. I think one of my biggest problems with the aesthetic was we have the watermonger, whatever his
Mhm.
name is.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, oh, they're half man, half droid. They've modified themselves to droid parts. I am totally thinking we're gonna come in and see someone with just a super battle droid arm. We're gonna have
Yeah.
like, I wanted to see more of the origins of the droids in their pieces
That's a
because we
good
have so many different robots in Star Wars, so
yeah,
many
that
different
we've
droids.
seen. Mhm.
Yeah, there's so many places to pull from, which we've seen consistently through. Even in this episode, we got the reference. We see references of different Star Wars media. Like they
Totally.
talk about the witches of, oh no, when they talk about the
Dathomir.
Rancor. Thank you.
Dathomir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We get that reference. I'm like, oh,
That's a great
that's
reference.
niche. Thank
Yep.
you for bringing that up. Um,
Mhm.
so I would have loved to see that attention to detail with their prostheses, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, like because okay we already have a lot of cool things we could do. Let's show that. And then if
Mhm.
you have those droid parts, we're on Tatooine, everything is basically salvaged, we can have it look grimier. We can
Yeah.
still keep the goth cyberpunky aesthetic, but if you got
Totally.
it more beat up, a little bit more Star Wars,
Mhm. Little
pulling those
rusted,
pieces.
little dented. Something to just make
Yeah,
it not look like it
yeah,
just came off the,
exactly.
supply line.
Mhm. Just little things like that, I think it would have sold me on their crew a bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I will reserve judgment. Maybe it changes as we go along.
Mhm.
Um, but
Mhm.
that's just their aesthetic. I think them as a crew, the little we've seen of them, I guess mainly the two people who actually talked.
Yeah.
I thought they were cool.
They're fine.
I'm
Yeah.
fine with them. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see where they go.
Yep. I'm looking forward to getting to know them better. And yeah, maybe now that it's like the first maybe now that the first initial shock is worn off, maybe next time I see them it won't feel quite as off-putting, but um
Yeah,
definitely something to watch for. And like you said, it's Tatooine, right? Tatooine is very much a junkyard kind of style. There's other planets that are much shinier. That I feel like that would fit in better. They just felt out of place to me as a street gang in Tatooine. Um, but maybe there's some sort of backstory behind that and why they're like that. Maybe we'll find out.
now, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like almost every costume design in Book of Boba Fett has been, except for the Tusken Raiders, has been pretty clean. Even with like the two chief people of the Tusken Raiders, see, like their clothes are very clean. Boba Fett's armor and the black cloth underneath is very clean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's true. And even like the mayor's
yeah,
guy,
the annoying guy.
yeah, the spokesman, he's pretty clean and looks fairly fresh as well. Um,
So I'm
but I
wondering if
guess
that's
it's
just
the
a
muted color. Like it's still muted, and even Boba's like his armor's clean, but
yeah,
there's still like scrapes and dents on it.
right, yeah,
Um, and they're more blacks and browns and tans, in grays and just kind of more dirty colors, quote unquote. Um, the like bright green and red, like a Christmas tree, is I think what's throwing me off the most. Maybe
I was just saying that there's everyone's costumes feel clean. Like Boba
that's
Fett has the
true.
scrapes and stuff, but like Fennec, her whole outfit is just all. It's always it looks pristine to me every time, which is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
But I get that these people are the like Boba and Fennec. They have to present image. So does the mayor's assistant guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Different than a street crew.
Yep.
Um, but it does feel like they're kind of that's maybe just the design choice
Yeah.
of the I don't know. But
And
anyway,
now that I'm thinking about it even more, I might just be upset with the bikes and that's it. Because of the kind of, like you said, somewhat gothic aesthetic, I don't know, maybe they're not quite as bad as I'm thinking. The characters themselves, maybe it really is just the bright green and red bikes that are seared into my brain that are bothering me. I don't know. We'll see. And maybe it's tied to the fact that I didn't think the chase scene was particularly good, right? And that's when it's showing off. It just felt out of place. It felt clunky. So I don't know. I'm reserving judgment for later. We'll continue watching. Again, it's a when you look at the overall, it's a pretty nitpicky thing. Where like, yeah, the colors aren't quite right. Yeah, it's not a huge deal to me. Um,
yeah, that's fair.
and the story I think is still fine, and like we both said, we like how they brought in the crew, and it made sense for them to bring in the crew. So we don't have a problem with them inventing the characters themselves. So I don't know. We'll see how it progresses. Um,
Oh, I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
yes,
Do you think that so okay, when the Tusken Raiders he comes back finds it was the one bike crew,
yeah,
the speeder crew.
yep.
Do you think the Pikes gave them the same thing like, "Hey, we're only paying one
Oh,
person.
I'm sure.
Go take
Yeah,
out the Tusken Raiders." Okay.
yeah.
So do you think we're going to see more of Boba Fett dealing with the Pikes in the past before coming to the present?
Ooh, yeah,
Like is there
probably.
more beef that we're not sure of?
I
Has he
bet there
tried to
is.
resolve it already?
I bet there is. I bet there's more beef. Although, yeah, I would just assume there probably is. I bet there's an extra piece or two.
Okay.
Um, Although we do know, like, eventually here we got to get to, um,
It's the
yeah,
Mandalorian.
we're starting to catch up to Mandalorian in some respect in the flashbacks, or at least we have to be at some point. So, um, not sure. We'll see. We'll see how it
Okay.
works, how it looks. Um, we might run out of time, and maybe it wouldn't fit more stuff with the Pikes, but I'm sure there's more backstory with the Pikes, that we're gonna get while he's also dealing with them in present time for sure. What did you think of the Rancor?
I'm like, we have a How to Train Your Dragon moment in Star Wars now. That was my first thought.
hmm
Um, I think it's kind of funny that we've had, the Rancor has been the Star Wars creature of just I'm gonna destroy stuff.
Yeah,
Like everything in my way is getting wrecked,
yeah,
and now it's like, oh, they're big puppies, but people make them fight because they're good at fighting.
yeah,
I think that's kind of hilarious.
yeah.
And it would make okay. I'm trying to remember how many other times we've seen Rancor in Star Wars
A little bit
besides just Jabba.
in Clone Wars and like Bad Batch and stuff.
Those were okay. In Clone Wars, wasn't it a wild Rancor?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So I think it works in that sense that we
hmm
haven't. This isn't breaking canon, I don't think.
No, I don't think
Um,
so.
yeah, and it makes sense that Jabba's Rancor is just like a dog frothing at the mouth on the chain.
hmm
Um, so I think it's another note of we're gonna highlight the difference of how Boba's gonna be a
Yep.
uh different daimyo,
Yeah.
which I like,
Well,
and
and
I really want to see him ride a Rancor into battle,
oh,
like just burst through the mayor's house in the Rancor, like
that's
on the Rancor.
I hope we get something like that. That would be incredible. The other thing I really liked about it is they kind of showed the relationship and like how they bond and stuff, which makes me I think it explains, because like when the Rancor dies, right, his like owner trainer guy is like crying, and they're like trying to console him, and I always thought that was, it just didn't quite feel right. um like it felt, I didn't know why he was crying exactly. I didn't know if it was he's Jabba's gonna kill him because his Rancor died, or if he was just really sad about his Rancor. And I think being able to see and hear a little backstory on how they bond and how that works, um, I think fleshed out that scene from episode 6 a little better, at least in my opinion.
Yes, I would completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
I also liked how we had Danny Trejo as the keeper.
That's
I liked
perfect.
his little cameo. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, it works perfectly. It's
Mhm.
fantastic. Now, what do you think of our gladiator character? Do you think maybe Boba will get him back, and maybe we'll have a little Boba gladiator team up?
I was totally waiting. Like he's like free him. I was like, oh, we're just getting. He's hiring this guy right now.
Yeah, that's what I thought was happening. And then he's like,
We're really recruiting everyone this episode.
yeah.
But I do think he will come back,
Hmm.
or at the very least, we'll have some scene with him later.
Yeah,
Um,
that's probably very true.
yeah. It. I'm glad he wasn't just a cameo character in the last episode in this one.
Yep.
He actually played a role, which I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm
Yeah.
happy. I still wanted to see him rip someone's arms off,
Yeah.
but oh well.
We can hope
Probably
that
too
that shall
too
come
graphic
late.
for.
That'll come soon.
It might be too graphic for Disney Plus, but
I don't know.
we'll
You
see.
could cut away on the part where he actually rips it off, and then you could have him just holding an arm or something. I mean, we had arms get chopped off in Star Wars before.
True. This is a Skywalker trait, is having hands chopped off. So
Yeah, exactly. So we could have a Wookiee rip an arm off, I think. We just gotta maybe cut away at the moment that it tears away.
droid arm, and then it works out. It's totally
Oh,
fine.
yeah, there you go. That might work.
Maybe it's the one guy's foot, that the jackhammer foot.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah. I don't know. That's
know.
great.
Yeah, I definitely think he'll be coming back.
Totally. All right. 1 to 10, Gabe. Episode rating. What are you giving it?
Probably the 7 this episode.
Okay.
I think the chase scene really dragged it down for me.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
that was so jarring. It I just don't understand. There are even parts where like the animation wasn't even, or the CGI didn't even feel smooth.
Yeah.
There's like one where they have to do like a two right turns, or two
Mhm.
90-degree turns, and it didn't look right.
Yeah.
So that definitely dragging it down this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to say a 7 too. I was thinking 7. Storyline and character development wise, I think it was pretty solid, but just a couple of little things that kind of dragged it down a little bit. Maybe to a 7. I think a 7's a fair rating. It was still a good episode, just
Yeah, I
not
still enjoyed it.
quite to the level maybe that we're used to seeing in Book of Boba. So,
Exactly.
um yeah, I think that pretty much sums up that episode. Looking forward to the next one. I think we're really
Really
starting to
anticipating.
build some things. And maybe it'll clean up some of those concerns that we had of, maybe the speeder bikes being the wrong color or whatever. We can play around and maybe sit with
Nitpick
that a
a bit
little
more.
bit better. Yeah, let it percolate, and maybe we'll figure it out. But want to transition now to something we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. We are coming up on award season, Oscar season, if you want to call it that, right? The Golden Globes just happened. And in preparation for that, we're going to start, in addition, every week we cover the Book of Boba episode because that's our bread and butter. Huge Star Wars fans, we're going to be watching it and covering it. But we're going to add in this kind of, we typically have 2 segments, a TV show and a movie, or 2 TV shows. In this segment, we're going to do kind of not like a formal Oscar preview, but we're going to review some of the movies that you're going to be hearing about as we come through award season. Okay. So the first one that we decided to review this week, coming off of Andrew Garfield winning Best Actor for a musical or comedy at Golden Globes, Tick Tick Boom,
Mm-hmm.
musical directorial debut, I believe, for Lin-Manuel Miranda and
Fact
Gabe.
check.
I know. I don't. What did you think? I know. I was. I didn't really know about the movie until I saw it come out, and then I started hearing about it. What did you think of the movie? Yeah, just general thoughts.
Didn't know much about it. I knew it was a musical.
Yeah,
I knew it was Andrew Garfield.
yeah.
I saw him play the piano in a trailer. That Not even a trailer, just like a snippet.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay. Um, really enjoyed it actually.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm not always the biggest fan of musicals,
Okay.
especially musical movies, because I know they change a lot from the original musical. Um,
Mm.
just to me, not just for a medium purpose, but like the songs get changed around, and
Mm.
I don't know much about this musical, so I can't speak on that. But
No. Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Andrew Garfield acted out of his mind.
Oh
God,
my goodness.
holy crap! I
Yeah.
was, there were so many scenes where I'm sitting I am feeling exactly what he is acting right now. He is the emotion in there, the
Mm-hmm.
impact it's having,
Yeah.
very well done. So
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely not a theater kid myself. And so I I've never seen Rent. I kind of want to see Rent now just to experience it, but didn't have any real backstory on the character of Jonathan Larson, but I am typically a fan of musicals when they're brought over to movies when they're done well. Like he said, you
Yes.
sometimes they'll really screw with it. Cats.
We don't talk about
Yeah,
cats.
well, that never came out. Um, I did, as a side note, I did find it funny to me that there were multiple references to cats like playing at the same time as he's trying to work on these things. Um, and it just, yeah, it made me chuckle. But I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. We are both big music people, and I just loved it. And something particularly that I enjoyed, I think, in this one, because the musical, the quote unquote musical, it's really, Jonathan called it a rock monologue or whatever. And I loved how they took what was his performance, right, and redid it, but really leaned into the benefits of doing it as a movie, right? There's certain things that you can't do on stage, right? You don't have CGI. You can't completely change. It's you're having to change set pieces instead of actually changing locations for things. You can't really do rain. There's some things that you can't do as well on a stage or as easily on a stage, and I felt like they really leaned into that in this movie of, okay, you know this rock monologue is about him writing and trying to get Suburbia to be uh picked up by a producer,
Yeah.
right? And so to do it in this movie form where you can take time to really go into those scenes and flash back and forth, really impressed.
Yeah. That was a
Really
great
impressed.
narrative choice.
It was a great narrative choice. It was a great usage of the film medium to articulate this musical, right? Um, Really interesting story, great story, and holy crap, Andrew Garfield, you nailed it on the head. He acted out of his mind. Like it's a performance for the ages, I think. He learned how to sing specifically for this role. Um, and did it all
I thought
you
it
know,
sounded great too.
and he sounded great. You know, he doesn't I think you could tell he's not maybe a professional singer, like that's not maybe his background
No.
or his strong suit like it was Vanessa Hudgens, like whoo girl go. Um but he did what he needed to do, and he's such a good actor. I felt his facial expressions especially, he just nailed the
Yes.
role so well.
And
um
I think him not he doesn't have to be the greatest singer for this role because it's a play about being or a musical about being someone writing a musical. He doesn't have he's writing it doesn't mean he has to be the lead singer of it.
True,
So
true.
I thought it worked like within the narrative. I thought it was totally good.
Yeah, yeah, I think it totally fit well. I thought it was fantastic. um yeah, it played into so many great themes, and um I think there's certain things that you can just get emotionally better in song. uh and uh yeah, I was blown away. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. I was expecting it to be good because I had heard good things. And you know, Andrew won Best Actor. I'd seen that in the Golden Globes, so yeah, it's like, okay, this is going to be a good performance, right? But I wasn't ready for how great a film it really was. I was very very happy with it.
Yeah. Um, I I really liked your point about using the film medium to
Mm,
enhance this musical.
yeah,
Uh, I thought the highlight for me in this was the highlight in terms of that for me was the solo where it switched between Vanessa and the I can't remember the actress's name,
I
but
can't either, but
Susan's
I'll
actress.
yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I loved that switching dynamic and then how they portrayed that. Oh,
Oh, and the
I thought that
harmonies
was
going back
great.
and forth between it was just
Yes, it
magnificent.
worked so well. Oh,
Magnificent.
oh, so good. Really, really. Or another example. It all ties back to Susan's for some reason.
Mm.
When he and her are having the argument, and they have the song about communicating in a relationship,
Yes.
and they're go ah
That song's
excellently done.
incredible, and
And then
the
his acting
his
there.
acting in that, they're him and Vanessa killed so many parts of this film. It's mind-blowing. Um and I know she's been getting awards too. I believe she won Best Actress at Golden Globes. So two top-notch performances, and Alexandra is is the actress that played Susan. I just looked it up
Thank
for
you.
us. Honestly, the acting throughout was just spectacular, I thought. Um and really was just well done. Um the the scene with Michael's character singing "Is This Real Life?" and like Andrew's like monologue and then running, and that scene I thought was probably for me the most impactful. That scene just hit really hard for me. um uh, you could feel in Andrew's monologue, you could feel the intensity and the almost manic nature of just, I don't even know what to do right now. And then to have the music behind with Michael just saying, "Is this real life?" Right? And that drawn out note, I just thought it was absolutely fantastic.
So well done. Good lord. Oh, there are so many parts throughout this film where I was just going, "Oh gosh, that's hitting right in the feels right now."
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, oh, like just everything happening at once. Like his friends in the hospital, his girlfriend and him are having a fight over this whole thing.
yeah,
Uh, he's working on what has essentially been his life's work. He's
yeah.
coming to the the breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
All of that happening at once.
Yeah.
Just the amount of stress happen. Oh, phew, that was a feeling that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Relatable for sure. Um, Now, I want to bring up something and I want to get your opinion on it. One thing that I've I read uh one I guess criticism I have heard was that some of the songs like the basically the argument was we can see why Tick Tick Boom was not uh it didn't get picked up. It wasn't a huge musical like Rent was later. Um and I and the complaint was they said some of the songs uh lyrically felt clunky. Uh is the one argument I've seen, or somewhat childish or corny. Did you find that at all in the music, and what were your thoughts on that if you did?
Did you catch any of that?
Nope.
Okay, I'll say it again then.
Okay.
um, so again, I'm not much of a theater kid. I
Mhm.
did not. I took drama in high school, and that was about it. So I
Yeah.
haven't watched many musicals, haven't listened to many. Um, so I didn't particularly notice it. I I can kind of like maybe some I can I don't say the argument's wrong. I'm just saying I didn't notice it too much.
Okay.
Um, I typically think, well, if it's a musical, you're hitting this specific kind of song,
Yeah.
and so I don't put. I'm more looking at how they're using the songs to enhance the story, the
Mm.
emotion there,
Yeah.
rather than the actual,
Musical.
not necessarily quality,
Yeah.
but I guess rather than the style of the music.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Um yeah, I think stylistically it was fantastic. I can understand. I think there were a few times where um I could predict what the next lyric was going to be because it was such an obvious rhyme setup. Um and I could see where some of them felt somewhat clunky, quote unquote, or just kind of childish almost. But I actually disagree with that being a problem. Uh, I felt like the the couple of spots where it does feel kind of clunky or just like super predictable kind of rhymes, and like, oh, I know what he's gonna say this word next. There it is. Um, I felt like that wasn't a problem because I think in my opinion, it felt more childlike. It felt kind of whimsical, kind of just making a song for the fun of it. And like he tells his one kind of mentor who's helping him with the workshop, I like to challenge myself and try and write a song about anything. And I felt like that was actually enhanced by some of these more like kind of goofy, clunky, the classic. Okay, we're just trying to write a song right now off the top of my head, and you're just kind of messing around, and you're leaning into those really easy rhymes because you don't have time to rewrite it, right? You're just coming off the top, and to me, it actually enhanced it. I felt like it was kind of songwriting just for the fun of it, and just to kind of be quirky and goofy. So that's how, to me, those quote unquote clunky or maybe predictable lines to me came across more as whimsical and fun and just, you know, enjoying songwriting for enjoying songwriting.
yeah, and I think there's something to be said with to me with a with musicals.
Yeah,
You're going to be able to predict the lyrics a bit more often because you know what the song is talking about. You've
true.
got the context. You've got a lot
Yeah.
more going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you know the next lyric, that means you can sing along, which I think lends itself to the genre,
Yeah,
um,
that's true.
at least in my
And
opinion.
being
So
somewhat predictable. Yeah.
yeah, I don't find that to be a huge issue, at
Yeah.
least in my opinion. So
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that was there anything else that stood out to you that maybe we haven't mentioned yet?
Hmm. Uh, I can't think of anything right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that
But
pretty
you?
much wraps up my thoughts on it. Um, one thing that I thought that maybe we haven't mentioned that I liked is the repeating of the ticking clock that would just continually show up throughout the movie. Uh, I really liked that that just kept showing up, like pretty much over and over and over and over again, where I'd notice all of a sudden, oh listen, there's a ticking clock in the background. Um, I thought that was kind of fun to keep that kind of um, that reference to time and reference to how much time do we have left. I think it's really interesting. Um, I heard one person say they felt it was a little over dramatized, the fact that Jonathan passed away, and like they start with talking about he was taken away from us too soon. And that their comment was Jonathan didn't know that he was gonna die, so you're just like adding this extra intensity to his situation when it probably wasn't really there. And to me, I think that misses the point. One of the points that I got from it was that even though, you know, it was just an aneurysm, it was a fluke thing, right? He technically didn't know that he was only going to have a few years left. There, it I feel like the film and the musical was trying to communicate that he really did feel that urgency, like he didn't have much time. Somehow, like it's almost one of those situations where I feel like somehow he knew he didn't have much time, even though, no doctor would have predicted it. No, he technically did not know. But that feeling seemed to be present in his life of, I need to accomplish some things now. I can't wait. I don't have time. And that urgency that he had, um kind of this moment, I had this moment of reflection at the end of, he kind of did know. He somehow knew that he needed to put these things out now.
Well, it's also even not even thinking about him passing away.
Mhm.
He is. It's. He's been working on this play for 8 years. That
Yeah.
is the majority of his adult life, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Adult saying maybe he was like 16 or I guess 18, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the majority of his life has been spent on this to just be, try again.
Yeah.
Work on
Yeah.
put your whole passion, all of your will, all of your energy into this one thing and
Yep.
have it rejected and now feel you got to do that again
Mhm.
and just hope it was like the line you keep doing it again and
And
again
again.
and hope it somehow by some miracle sticks.
Yeah.
Like that.
And it is
As some
interesting because art can be like that so many times. Like there's so much great art out there, but what becomes popular and what becomes, you know, financially successful is just such a small piece of that.
and it's just the whole he's been you can see like the whole the cafe.
Mm,
I want to circle back to that in a second. Um, but the whole he has been putting he's literally been running his life down to get
yeah,
this to work.
yeah,
He has been putting his entire energy with like sleepless nights.
yeah.
Like to him, this is the breaking point, even regardless of thinking about him dying in the future.
True,
This is
true.
his moment, and if he, if he has to go through that again, how can he physically do that? Can
Yeah,
he mentally do that?
yeah.
Um, but with the cafe, you mentioned the ticking. It always feels like time's creeping forward. We have the ticking. We have all this sense of urgency.
Mm,
Um, I thought that was really evident in how all of the circumstances going on all revolve around just there's a deadline, something's coming up, something needs to be
uh,
done. He's got to talk to his girlfriend, he's got to go see his friend, he's got to figure out what's happening, like is how much time does his friend have left if there's a problem. We have Michael has only so much time left. um, his play, he has so much time to write the song for his play, and then the cafe scene is just this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done.
Mm,
um,
mhm.
I I liked that, like, thematically how that worked throughout the narrative.
Yeah, yeah,
I th- yeah, I thought it was very well done.
yeah. I completely agree. I thought it was a fantastically well made production. One thing that I just like little fun fact that I learned afterwards that I really liked, um, or that I didn't really put together at the beginning is that Vanessa Hudgens, um, actually was on Rent for a time. Like she's performed Rent as on stage before. Um, and played a character. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then I think his friend, who's the actor who plays his friend in the in the actual like performance on
Oh,
the of
oh,
the
the
of Tick Tick
vocalist.
Boom. Yeah, the vocalist. I believe he was also in Rent
Oh,
on stage as well. I think he's got yeah, he's been nominated for a Tony Award, and I believe I'm gonna double check really here, theater credits. Um oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Somebody else. I think there's somebody else in the production or that's acting in it. He did play in Hamilton. Right, he's Aaron Burr in a Hamilton, so that's how he's knowing Lin
oh, okay.
Manuel Miranda, but um he I there is somebody else I think that was maybe in Rent as well. And I thought that was kind of interesting to have a couple different characters that had been in that famous, uh, you know, performance or famous play from him. Ah, I gotcha. Here it is. It's Michael's character. Um, he was in Rent back in 2005 on Broadway. And so I thought that was cool as well to bring in some of the like have some of the performers that have worked with Jonathan Larson's material before come in and do this performance on
That,
film. I thought that was cool.
that I think that's very special
Hmm.
to get to have that. Um, yeah, I I enjoyed every part of it. I think
Yeah,
all of the narrative decisions, how the acting was phenomenal. I thought the songs were fun.
yeah.
Um, I I also really related to the whole okay, um, how he just decides, all right, I gotta get everything together. I'm gonna clean my apartment right now. It, it's 12 a.m. I'm gonna just deep clean this.
I gotta
Definitely,
get in a good space here.
yeah,
That's funny.
definitely related to that. The whole okay, stress, stress, stress. Gotta cleanse everything. We're
I
gonna
guess I'm
fix
cleaning.
everything.
That's funny. Yeah, I think now let me switch a little bit to this cuz we kind of framed this as we're doing this because we want to watch movies and see some of the performances that we know are going to get talked about in contention for the Oscars. What did you think? Do you think we already talked about Andrew Garfield. For me, of what I've seen. Now, I haven't seen some of the other movies that have really great performances that he's going to be competing against. But for me, I think he's the best. I would give him best actor so far. Now, in the coming weeks, we're going to continue watching some of these, and maybe I'm going to change my opinion. But at this point of what I've seen this year, I think Andrew Garfield gets best actor for me. What do you think?
What I've seen so far, yes,
Yeah.
I would agree. I think uh, Benedict Cumberbatch in Power of the Dog was very excellent as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Uh, but he didn't have as much screen time, I would say, as Garfield in this one.
Mm,
Maybe it just felt different because Garfield's more of this the whole show revolved around him rather than
yeah.
more other characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I would still give it to Garfield though.
Yeah.
His it was just
I think the range to me it's just a
yes,
range thing. Like yes, Um, Benedict's role in The Power of the Dog, he nails his role, but um, and not to say that I mean, I think Cumberbatch is an incredible actor. Not to say that necessarily Garfield's better, but I think this performance just demanded more, and Garfield met those demands. And so I think for me, I'm leaning that way. Now, Best Picture, I know that at the Golden Globes, Tick Tick Boom actually lost out to In the Heights for Best Musical. Like, Tick Tick Boom didn't even win Best Musical at the Globes. We have not seen In the Heights yet. That's coming later. We will get around to it. But having not seen In the Heights, what is there any movie that you think's competing here with Tick Tick Boom, or do you think Tick Tick Boom's got your best picture award as well?
No, I think I might give it to Power of the Dog over Tick Tick Boom.
Oh,
I
okay.
think the overall film, I I, I still say Andrew's performance was better,
Mm-hmm.
but I think Power of the Dog had a better overall film.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, Power of the Dog's an interesting one because we didn't talk about it on the podcast. Sorry. But I know in our discussion kind of offline, I didn't get the sense that maybe you liked it as much as it sounds like you did.
Um, I I can appreciate it without it being my kind of film, if that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Gotcha.
I can like there's so many good shots in that film, just
Mm,
like from a cinematography standpoint.
mm,
Um, the narrative is good, even if it's not my favorite narrative.
gotcha.
So in
Gotcha.
terms of a more, I guess it can't be objective. This is all opinion, but
Yeah.
to me, in an objective of my opinion sense, not just my enjoyment.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but yeah,
Yeah, you'd give it the award. It's maybe not your favorite. You think it's
yeah.
deserving of the award, but not your favorite. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, I been going back and forth. I mean, and Dune I thought was really good as well this year, right?
Also very good.
We got
Yeah.
like, I keep going back and I realize, oh my gosh, that came out, There is some serious competition here, but I mean, man, I think it's tight. I think I would edge it out to Tick Tick Boom over Power of the Dog. And I
Okay.
really liked Power of the
You
Dog. It's very much
really
my
like.
style of movie. I like the slightly more art house feel of it a lot. And the performances were great in it. But I just think Tick Tick Boom felt more impactful to me.
Okay.
And I think the performances and the music, it just I don't know, it was better to me.
Okay.
It's close. It's not a wide margin, but I think I would edge it to Tick Tick Boom at this point. We'll find out next week if anything can top it. Um, but we'll save that for next episode. Um, let's wrap it up with a 1 to 10, Gabe. Tick Tick Boom. What are we rating?
I think I would go a solid 8.5.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe a 9. Just because of how good Garfield's performance is and how impactful it could be. God,
Yeah.
stuttered there.
Yep.
um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I'm
but
gonna give it a 9 personally. I loved it. It was great. Um, Up there with some of my favorite movie musicals that I've ever seen for sure. Cool.
yeah.
Well, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up today's episode. As always, really appreciate the likes and sharing and comments. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you want to, hear our thoughts on Book of Boba moving forward, hear our thoughts, get the little Oscar preview over the next couple of weeks as we get closer to the Oscars. Please, connect with us on Twitter. I've been trying to be a lot more active there. I know I was engaging in some of the conversation about both Tick Tick Boom and Book of Boba over the past week. So would love to connect with you there and hang out on the Twitter Spaces. But with that, we'll wrap up today's episode, and we'll see you next week.